Hey friends, welcome back to the Emulator Review. I'm your good friend Jason Heine. Excuse my briefness on this, but I am doing my first ever top 20 list. Because the NES now turning 25, I decided to do something very special. This is my top 20 all-time favorite NES games. Guys, girls, rock with me now. Let's do this.
Number 20.
If you were lucky enough to grow up in the arcades in the late 80s, you without a doubt played Super Sprint. I was so happy to see this port come home to my NES. Developed by Tengen in 1986, ported in 89, the top-down stationary camera films the entire track. Laced with points, obstacles, and power-ups, great sound effects and music in just the right places makes this an Atari great on the Nintendo.
Number 19.
A little gem from IREM, released in 1990 for the Nintendo. I don't think many people have heard of this. This is a very interesting platformer where gravity is your friend. You can launch your mech from the bottom to the top with a touch of a button. Enemies then react in the same fashion. A unique platformer that required quick thinking. A bit of puzzle solving and just enough action made this game so memorable, it deserved my number 19th spot.
Number 18.
How can it be that the first time I saw Batman in a video game turned out to be one of my all-time favorites? Released in '89 by Sunsoft, this game featured amazing graphics, excellent cutscenes, and controls and physics that rival some of the best on this console. Batman has a whole host of weapons to choose from, as well as the ability to jump off of walls. A game that truly blew my mind in 1989, rounding out my number 18th spot. Any Batman fan must have this game.
Number 17.
So answer me this, what do you get when you mix classic 90s Disney cartoons with the platforming giants at Capcom? You get you, sitting on the couch saying to yourself, this is the most fun I've ever had with Scrooge McDuck. And don't think this is the only Capcom classic we have. There was Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, I mean the list goes on, all done by Capcom. Maybe it was the fact that I just absolutely love this cartoon. No, I don't think it's that. Ask around, you'll find that everybody loves this game. You can't tell from the cartoon and I never would have guessed, but man, for an old geezer who needs a cane to walk around, this duck is badass.
Number 16.
Do we see a trend here from our good friends at Sunsoft? I sure do. Released in 1988, this is the famous Blaster Master, featuring the most screwed up intro in a game I've seen in a long time, but made up for it with the amazing gameplay, featuring multiple elements of gameplay. I mean, just take a look at this. We're side-scrolling in a vehicle while shooting. Dude can hop out of his vehicle, then go on foot. Then it becomes a top-down shooter where you have to solve puzzles, find items, kill enemies. Did I mention how good the music is too? Tons of replay value. This game is incredible, rounding out my number 16th spot.
Number 15.
Who doesn't love big fat half-naked islanders wearing baseball hats? He throws hammers, his feet move faster than lightning. His jump would piss off any basketball player. And before I was grinding with Tony Hawk in his Pro Skater series of games, I was doing it right here with Adventure Island. This game is highly addictive, controls are spot on, and the music does a great job of reeling you in and keeping you intact with the whole islandy feel. Latter levels proved to be extremely difficult for me as a kid, where I found myself spending hours trying to beat it. So thank you, Adventure Island, for all the memories. You are number 15.
Number 14.
Those crazy sci-fi fanatics at LucasArts in 1990 brought a crazy game to the NES called Maniac Mansion. Maniac Mansion was available on other consoles and even PC prior to this, but getting it onto the NES hardware was not that easy. The game code had to be completely rewritten, actually from the ground up. A modified version of the SCUMM engine had to be written. New save games through battery backup was now available. A point-and-click adventure game that's just so eerie and creepy all the way around. Each player in the game has their own unique soundtrack song. Nintendo's strict policy on violence halted so many awesome things about this game, except for the microwaving of the hamster. Well, at least for the first 250,000 copies released in the US. Nintendo freaked out after they finally found out something like this had slipped by them. They demanded this be changed. And on the second run of these being sold in the US, this feature was then removed. The first time I ever saw the representation of a mouse pointer on the screen. So if you got a copy where you can microwave the hamster, hey, you got yourself a rare deal there. This game rounds out my number 14th slot.
Number 13.
In 1991, Codemasters blew up the top-down racing genre with a little gem called Micro Machines. This unique game had awesome gameplay, would allow you to race in multiple real-life avenues like swimming pools, work tables, backyards, picnic tables, just to name a few. Each vehicle had its own unique handling characteristics, as well as speeds and abilities that came in a very unique, all completely gold cart that had an opening on the back side and a switch that would enable it to be used on the Nintendo in America or be used on the European Nintendo systems. As a kid growing up, I couldn't get enough of this game. And what does that say? I mean, even today, I'm still playing this game. Incredible franchise, wonderful game, definitely deserves a spot on my list at the number 13th slot.
Number 12.
Growing up as a young boy in the late 80s and early 90s, I loved two things: remote control cars and video games. And when this game came out, I absolutely flipped my lid. A classic game developed by Rare and released in 1988 combined everything I wanted in a game. Racing remote control cars around a track had a very unique top-down but stationary third-person type of a camera. Collecting parts on the track would then upgrade your vehicle, as well as going around and collecting letters to spell out the words Nintendo. Rare would then go on and develop some of the most prolific games in our history. This was my introduction to them. I loved them then, I love them now. RC ProAm, you're hanging out at number 12 on my list.
Number 11.
The year is 1987. Japanese video game developer Squaresoft is on the brink of bankruptcy. Lead developers in the company stating that they are going to release one more title. This will be their, wait for it, final game. It will also be a fantasy role-playing game, hence the title. Final Fantasy for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released December 18th, 1987. This is the game that allowed us all to have a Final Fantasy franchise. This title pulled Square out of the hole back into the positive, where they then continued to create one of the biggest video game franchises on the planet. Final Fantasy for the NES was the first role-playing game I ever played. The characters, the design, the physics, the gameplay, and the music, absolutely stunning all the way around. An RPG that set the standard for every single one to follow. Thank you, Final Fantasy, with your swords and your fire. You are number 11 on my list.
Number 10.
Who doesn't love smashing around in Jeeps in the hot desert with your 50 cal and your grenades, taking out enemies, barriers, blowing up homes to rescue POWs, and of course the accidental roadkill. One of the best co-op experiences on the NES in my book. This is Jackal, released in 1986 by Konami. This game is unbelievably addicting, with some incredible music, great gameplay, and incorporating so many elements that I just loved as a kid in a vehicle, shooting, kind of the whole war, desert kind of landscape. I just definitely fell in love with this title, and I still play it to this day. If you're looking for a great two-player co-op, this title is the cream of the crop. Definitely look into it. Jackal, you are starting out my top 10.
Number 9.
When you think of launch titles for the Nintendo, you think about Mario, Duck Hunt, but don't for 1 second bypass or not think about Excitebike. This was a game that debuted on the original release of the Nintendo in Japan in 1985. This was the first game I ever played on the Nintendo that incorporated a motorized vehicle. Trying to race as fast as you can to the finish line while maintaining temperature on your engine, incorporating A for gas and B for now a boost, trying to maintain the right speed to hit the jumps just right to fly the furthest. This is a staple in the Nintendo franchise, an amazing game, highly addictive gameplay. Did I mention it gave you a track editor? Yes! Can create and race on your own custom-made tracks. This game was ahead of its time. And how can any of us forget the epic first place music?
Number 8.
Another co-op giant by Konami. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game. Now, I know you have a few choices of turtle games on this console, but for me, this one's the best in my book. Featuring the also addictive beat-em-up style of gameplay, this is modeled after the Turtles arcade game. It really just doesn't get any better than this. Fighting as a Ninja Turtle, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, or Raphael, beating the snot out of all those foot soldiers. While we pause for a second, this game is so badass that even Pizza Hut got its own ad in it.
Number 7.
Thanks to the 1976 blockbuster Rocky featuring Sylvester Stallone, the whole boxing scene kind of took front seat. Now, watching Mike Tyson punch paparazzi and take off people's ears, put aside however you feel about him today, you have to admit that back in the day, he is quite a force to be reckoned with. The boxing champion influenced Nintendo to create Mike Tyson's Punchout, featuring you, the boxing noob, Little Mac, going up against heavy competition to fight your way all the way to Mike Tyson. We also see the pudgy Mario in there as the referee. This game required memorization in order to attack at just the right time. Using the select button to do a power hit took me forever to figure that one out. And some of the funniest one-liners in the game for its time. Let's not forget about the direct ripoff of the epic scene of Rocky running. Except Little Mac, he's wearing pink.
Number 6.
Oh my goodness, how could I not have a top 20 list and not have Zelda on here? Yes, I've played Legend of Zelda all the way through. I've also completed Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, and I have to say, Zelda 2 just really was a standout title for me in my day, incorporating so many different elements. I mean, you had top-down adventure maps, then you had the 2D side-scrolling element. I mean, you think back at the times here, I mean, just being able to jump was such a huge thing. It really stood out. A title that took my imagination to all new levels. Just remembering those dark cave levels, I always loved those. Exploring desert landscapes, wooded areas, and even towns. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, what other game do you know you can just walk right up to a chick point blank and she offers you a bobo, huh? Or, excuse me, I believe that they're called Women of the Night in more PG terms. I mean, check this out. Link even goes up to this chick and proposes to her, and look what she says to him. Just gotta do things the right way, Link.
Number 5.
Another co-op classic. This one developed by Rare in 1991. I think everyone can agree, one of the hardest games on the planet. This game is called Battletoads. This game is a dream for any beat-em-up lover. Being able to grab weapons and attack opponents with those weapons that you pick up, incorporating some incredible gameplay features like ram horns, punching them till you smack them so hard with your mega fist. It's a wonderful game, it's highly addictive, but just be prepared to eat crap most of the time, because this game is brutal. First game I ever played where the final boss is a busty, bad chick. I didn't really want to beat her up, well, at least not with my fist. Maybe she wants to get some food or something. Maybe she wants to hang out and listen to the epic pause music.
Number 4.
Ooh, an acclaimed blast from the past. This is Double Dragon 2. Out of all the Double Dragons, this one is my absolute favorite. I have no problem admitting that. For me, it just came down to the gameplay. Everything just worked. The buttons worked. The gameplay worked. I love the sound effects. I love the music. I love everything about it. A title where I noticed physics in the game for the first time, with them flying back and hitting walls and all that sort of thing. Throwing weapons at each other can have an effect. Pretty awesome. Remember, if you time your jumps just right, you can do that amazing knee hit. Man, I tried so hard one time just to go through the entire level with doing nothing but knee hits. Try that out for size. There's a challenge for you. The Double Dragon franchise is one to be reckoned with in the beat-em-up genre of games. It's definitely a game that created my love for beat-em-ups. Double Dragon 2, you are number 4 on my list.
Number 3.
What do you get when you take that lovable little pink fluff ball and throw him into a platforming giant of a game? Kirbys Adventure for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I'm telling you, this is one of my favorite platforming games. Just all the cool things Kirby can do. He can fly, he can spit air that kills people, he can take in people, swallow them, take their ability and use it against them. I mean, come on, guys. Most games you just kill them and move on, but this has so many cool things about it that you can do. A game I feel was way ahead of its time. Amazing happy-go-lucky music and all-around fun, with mini-games galore, including the famous crane game. You can't go wrong with that. Kirbys Adventure takes number 3 on my list.
Number 2.
Super Mario Bros. 3. Revolutionary gameplay, graphics, sound. I have nothing but good things to say about this game. In my book, this is the best platforming game on this console. This game looked like it didn't belong on the console. When it came out, it looked amazing. By this point in the game, Nintendo really figured out how to take every last bit and just push the hardware to its limits. If I were to pick one Mario title on this console as my favorite, this is it. I remember buying this game brand new in the store and staring at the cover art the entire time we were driving home. Eyes wide. I don't think I blinked once. That's how epic it is. Super Mario Bros. 3, you are number 2. It's 10:07, your show's on.
I'm missing it. Okay. I don't know. My voice is cracking.
That's fine.
And number 1.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. My top NES game of all time has to be Contra. Released by that video game production powerhouse Konami in 1987, I have spent more time playing this game than any other game in my library. This game is pure side-scrolling gemness. You got side-scrolling, power-ups, somersault jumps, all wrapped up in an urban warfare setting. This is a pick-up-and-play, button-mash, run-and-gun all the way to the very end. I love the gameplay, I love the music, I love the sound, I love the weapons, except laser. There is no denying that this is a cult classic title, one of the best in my book, and definitely goes down as my top favorite NES game of all time. Thanks for hanging out, guys. 15 minutes is up.